make a short video about something that happened today when we went into Saginaw. Somebody got on the bus wearing a tallit. A tallis. It was purple and white. I mean, some people get creative, I guess. Um, they weren't even wearing it right, first of all, and they wrapped it around them. And some of the some of the zits that were almost dragging on the ground, and they wrapped it around them like a scarf. And again, some of the zits that were almost dragging on the ground. And this person, uh, obviously not Orthodox or conservative, Reformed. I don't even see somebody from the Reform movement doing that. I mean, just wearing the tallis absolutely disrespectfully. And again, like I said, wearing it like it's a scarf. And the zit touching the ground, I was absolutely offended to see that. I'm not Jewish. Well, I mean, not religiously. You know, we got near to the point of conversion, and then the Holy Spirit said, "You learned what you need to learn. Come back home." And did, and you know, quickly within a few days, my Kamboskini and my rosary appeared in front of me. Um, but I've been going to Shabbos for 30 years. You know, in several different parts of the world when I've traveled. And, you know, we, my researching our Jewish genealogy on my mother's side. It was blocked once I got past my great grandparents. Somebody somehow has blocked the genealogy research to that side of our family. One guy, he has some kind of a lock on three different family lines, so you can't research them. Don't ask me how we did it, but somehow one part of the tree, like three different branches of the tree, all the records are sealed, and he did it. I don't know how, but so we can't go that far. But there's so much intermarriage, so much, a lot of intermarriage between Christians and Jews in our family. And then on my father's side, I mean that some of that is, I don't know, I can't get too far, but my grandmother's maiden name, um, possibly that particular name has Anglo Welsh and Scottish uh, background as well as Ashkenazi. Um, it got confusing when people came here after the war. People didn't want to know they were Jewish, even though the war was done. You know, people learned about the atrocities, but some people were still unfriendly, rude, racist, abusive. So people would use the Yiddish pronunciation of their names. They would change it to English. So and actually, I found some of my grandmother's family um, under the Yiddish and German pronunciations. They are Jewish. So, but like I said, anyway, um, and I've been told before, you know, I have a unique soul, and somewhere in there, at one point in time, uh, part of my soul was Jewish. Um, you know, soul is a very complex thing. Sometimes we don't talk about it in Christianity. We we consider it to be, you know, one entity that is easily put into a box and easily explained. Within Judaism, it's not. Within Judaism, the soul, especially within Kabbalah, the soul has energies that can be separated. and the soul has different levels of consciousness. And one of my theories regarding Jesus' return is, what if Jesus, his Kabbalistically, obviously he's the most evolved person to ever walk the earth. And what if, I mean, this is according to Desjardins, Father um, Pierre or Charles, I forget now, a sleep apnea moment. Anyway, a famous Jesuit who has a lot of very interesting theories called the Omega Point. But what if Jesus, separated his soul so when he comes back, he's not going to be like he was before? There's something to just really rattle people. What if he comes back as a woman when he returns? What if he returns and he's in a family? You know, he's the father. He's the next. He's the final Mashiach. He's returning in glory, and he's a father or a mother. I mean, you never know. You never know. We can't make these rules. And as much as people want to twist and distort and stretch scripture, there's a lot of unanswered questions too. But what about the two messiahs theory, the one that's suffering and the one that's glorious? What if they're two different people? Because in Kabbalah, remnants of the soul can be left and sent to others. You can have a soul that has remnants from another soul. What is the most common with this? Um, Somebody may say that's just crazy. Well, consider people who've taken a life or people who had their life saved. Consider those connections that are lifelong. And consider the soldier who's been in combat and took lives. Yeah, he probably feels, at least with some of them, it's unfortunate I had to do it, but they were evil. They wanted to hurt me. They wanted to hurt the people in my platoon, and they wanted to hurt people in our country. So I don't feel bad about it. But on the other hand, it's unfortunate they lost their lives. So they carry with that. What is that? That memory, if not connected to a piece of the soul. So I do believe that. And these are things the Catechism doesn't talk about. This is all. This is all Thomist philosophizing. This is all Aquinas, uh, Aquinas devotees philosophizing. But anyway, back to the main topic here. Oh, I really segued. But so when this person was wearing that tallis, it was very offensive. I mean, I can't speak for the Jewish community. I can speak for a supporter of the Jewish community, somebody who has, spent a lot of time as a Catholic, an Eastern and Western um, straddling Catholic. I've spent a lot of time with the Jewish community, a lot. So I can speak in that way that, a tallis is not something you just wrap around you to and go ride the bus system or go ride on a motorcycle or go jogging. Even the inscription on there. Remember, the holy name is on there, and somebody's gonna wear it like a scarf, like a fashion show. And this person thought it was funny too. They thought it was funny. I saw a little grin, but I considered it offensive. Not just that they were wearing it in a bus station and wearing it like a scarf, but the zitzit. That's about law. That's about order. That's about transcendence. And it's dragging on the ground. It kind of reminds me of when I was in the VA. Every now and then I'll do things like get back to simplicity. I can be complex. I'll be carrying some, tertiary sacramentals that are Padre Pio relics, tertiary relics, which means they touched something that touched a relic of his, so it's like third class, or they touched something that was his, so that would make them secondary. No, actually, that would make them, yeah, still tertiary. So I guess some of them would be um, quadrutiary. Yeah, but that's really, there's not even such a rating in Sacramento. But anyway, and then I'll have a talus on underneath, because these are things that Jesus held dear. These are things that made him who he was. So I thought, how better to learn how to be closer to him than to learn how he would have thought, to walk in his footsteps as close as possible. Even this is what Gandhi said. Gandhi said the best way to understand a man is to, as closely as possible, walk in his footsteps, but yet you will never walk in them exactly because you'd be standing on him. I mean, it's just kind of a, tongue in cheek, meaning you can get close, but you can never completely understand somebody's perspective. But, well, that was in my experiments with truth. I've read that in my life probably 2 or 3 times. But, to get back to this, and also what happened, with that bus station reminds me of when I was wearing talus at the VA, and one of the nurses, I had to take it off because they were going to do some procedure or something. So I put it on one of those little carts they push around, and she took the cart out of the room. I didn't see it. I was talking to the doctor. So when it came time for me to get dressed, I was dressed, and I'm like, "Where's my talus now?" And I think the doctor or the other nurse, whoever was there, they left the room. So my daughter came back, and I said, "Do you know what my talent is?" She's like, "You're wearing it." I'm like, "No, I just put my shirt back on, but my talus wasn't there." And she said, "Oh, let me go see. Maybe it's on that cart thing." Oh, so she went to look for the cart thing, and she found it across the hallway, but the talus wasn't on there. The nurse threw it on the floor in the corner of the room where somebody had just swept the floor. You can't be any more anti Semitic than that. So this reminds me of that. You got people around here claiming that they're the original Jews, especially some of the people are touting the rhetoric that Ashkenazis are not descended from Abraham. It's just racist stuff. The next word that'll come out of their mouth will be Gog and Magog. So, well, the thing is, yeah, that was pretty offensive. I've seen other things too. I've seen ladies that just want to be anti-Semitic, so they will braid their hair like they're wearing a Yemeni hat. The hat that Yemeni Jews wear. Sometimes you'll see Mizrahi wear them, or Palestinian, or even some Iraqi Jews will wear like a very, um, it's kind of like a fez, but not. Well, they'll braid their hair like that. It'll be cornrows all around in the shape of one of those fez, and then they'll have their curls coming down. It's very offensive. Very offensive. And it's not funny. It's anti Semitic. But yeah, they have cornrows to make all of this out of cornrows. I mean, yeah, very creative, but very anti Semitic. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, a lot of anti Semitism here. A lot of it. And so I'm sure that the person walking around with that talus, first of all, they're not Jewish. I could tell. They had the inscription. They had the inscription on the back of their neck, facing out. I mean, they don't even know how to wear it. So they, yeah, that was pretty offensive. A sacred prayer, a sacred prayer garment being treated like that. And it was one of those cheap towelettes too. They're made out of acrylic. make a talus out of acrylic. But anyway, that being said, that was pretty crazy. And it's another example of anti Semitism around here. And when I talk to it about people, they just roll their eyes because anti Semitism here is becoming ingrained because of the extremist groups that are around here. Right here in mid Michigan, right here in Saginaw County. People, whether Democrat or Republican, think that they got, yeah, we got everything here nailed. We're in charge here. You know, we got our power base here. They have no idea what's going on here. They have no idea at all.